coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. The latest human rights report coming out of the United States of America involving Kenya, revealing a deterioration in the human rights situation in the Sub-Saharan country. Now, significant human rights issues included reports of arbitrary and unlawful killings, disappearances, torture or cruel, inhumane or degrading treatment or punishment, arbitrary arrests or detention, serious restrictions on freedom of expression and media freedom, and the significant presence of the worst forms of child labor. The report also revealed that while the government took steps to identify and punish officials who committed these abuses, an issue of impunity was a problem at all levels of government. And to speak to us further on this, we are joined in studio by Maxwell Kariuki, a Kenyan Member of Parliament. Maxwell, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Updates once again.
It's good to see you, Lulu.
You know, just you hearing me going from point to point, we're talking about expression of freedom expression, media, challenges with the media being able to report and do their work freely and without any issues, and issues of child labor. I mean, these are coming out from Kenya, the hub of the east of Africa.
That's right.
You know. Yep. This is a problem, and it is coming from the U.S., and the U.S. is a great ally of Kenya.
That's right.
So how do we then, unpack this?
The U.S. State Department report corresponds with the previous reports that we've been looking at. One of those is the reports from the Human Rights Watch. And the other one is the report by the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights based in Geneva. Amnesty International and many other rights group. And it corresponds with the same points raised by the senator who submitted a motion in the U.S. Congress to have Kenya's status of MNNA reviewed. It points out to abductions, unlawful killings, state-sponsored violence by the government. And the travesty of this whole thing, for example, Lulu, when it comes to unlawful killings, a while ago, not so long ago, here in June, a young man by the name of Albert Ojwang, a teacher, tweeted something against one of the top officials in Ruto's government. The next thing, he's being arrested. Police went to fetch him 300 kilometers away from the capital, brought him to the city, and then he's booked into police station and around 6, and by 2 a.m. Albert Ojwang is found dead. Now, there is a guy called Boniface Mwangi. He was a street vendor. This guy, when people went to demonstrate against Albert Ojwang's murder, this guy was not even demonstrating. He was selling masks, and a group of police officers pass by and start chasing him down the street. And one of the police officers picks a gun, aims at his head and blows his brains out. During the June protests, when the police rampaged through our streets and towns, shooting in the air in frenzy, a 12-year-old girl is huddled in their home together with the mother and other siblings. They're not even protesting. But outside their home, the cops are shooting in the air. They're just shooting anyhow. They're just shooting in the
randomly.
air. They're aiming guns at people's homes. And a bullet of high-caliber weapon tears through the roof and finds this little girl huddled at home watching TV, and it kills her. And on the issue of this report, especially on the transnational repression, Lulu, November last year, Uganda's leader of opposition, Kizza Besigye, is in Nairobi. Nairobi is like his home. He's always there. He's having a meeting. And then Ugandan police agents storm into the venue of the meeting, bundle him, blindfold him, gag his mouth, put him in a car, and drive him all the way back to Uganda. So he's been kidnapped right on our soil. Now, a BBC's reporter by the name of Maria Sarungi Tsehai, she is Tanzanian, She came to Kenya in 2020 seeking asylum. She's a critic of the authorities in Tanzania, and she's a whistleblower. She's doing her thing. She's about to go to the market or to the mall, and right outside that house, she gets kidnapped by unknown people who drive her around, stay with her for about 4 hours, demanding to access her phone and her social medias. And then she is released after that. And here is what people believe. This was done, these two incidents, Kiza Besige's incident and Maria Sarungi's incident, were done in collaboration with Kenyan authorities and Tanzanian authorities, Ugandan government and Kenyan government. And these things are happening under the leadership of President William Ruto. Here is the most interesting thing. Now, next month, President William Ruto is traveling to the United Nations in New York to address the UN General Assembly. Now, people are wondering, what are you going to do? Because you are destroying the very tenets upon which the United Nations is based on. Now, the other thing is that last year, October, Kenya was elected member of the Human Rights Council. Okay? Now, here is the president. Our country is a member of this awesome Human Rights Council. He's traveling to New York. What is he going to tell people? Because he is, look, in broad daylight, blatantly undermining the very tenets that the Human Rights Commission is built upon.
Now, why are people not being held accountable? And what more needs to be done to ensure that accountability is laid where it should be? Starting with the president.
In Kenya, the theory of big man and the great man plays a very big role. As long as you have political power, as long as you're the president, as long as you're affiliated with the president, there's nothing institutions can do about you. And what we see, we do see incidents of selective prosecution. If you anger the president, then the next thing, the ethics and anti-corruption agents, they come after you. If you are criticizing the government and you're a top dog, the next thing is our revenue authority will be on your back, you know? So it's issues to do with, you know, lack of accountability, simply because you're a big dog and because you're a great man.
Press freedom, a big highlight
Absolutely.
in this report.
Absolutely.
Why are we seeing the degradation of press freedom and just civilization in terms of citizens being able to be who they are?
The Kenyan media has come of age, and it has come a long way, and it has endured a lot of hammering, even during the last regimes. But the media that we have nowadays is very vibrant and active. You know, it's a watchdog, the fourth estate. Now, there is the regime, the government of William Ruto is definitely not going to be happy about the capability of today's Kenya's media, exposure, coverage, and all of that. Now, last year, a Media Max journalist was covering the protest in Nakuru City, and an officer, a police officer, riot police officer, aims a gun at her feet and shoots her with a 12-gauge gun. Now, you might have seen this. During the last protest that we had a few months ago, Larry Madowo, CNN's correspondent, a police officer fires a tear gas canister right at him. So I think it has to do with the agitation. The media is, I mean, if the media was not doing its job, the government would not be agitated.
And, you know, apart from the media, because now with the advent of social media, then people, anyone who has access to social media is able to post whatever it is that they need to post or what they're seeing on the streets. How do we then get this right? What does the Kenyan government need to do? And with this report, what needs to happen?
The Kenyan citizens are very active now, and they've become like the fifth, if I call them the fifth.
Yes, especially the youth.
Especially the youth. There's barely anything that you can do without them watching and without them reporting. Look, if we claim to be a democratic country, if we are to live by our reputation, being a country that is a beacon of freedom and liberty, then we've got to be able to abide by that. It cannot be, Kenya's progress and transformation cannot be only about a matter of talk. Are we democratic? Then you got to let people be democratic. You got to let people have the freedom of expression. Stop going after people. And that's what we're seeing with this regime of President Ruto. You tweet something, they come after you. You post something, and they come and fetch you. They abduct you in broad daylight. So I think for me, the government of President William Ruto needs to respect our constitution, our supreme document, because our document is beautiful. I mean, it is the most beautiful constitution in the region. But you know what? It looks like it's just a document that is beautiful on paper. But when it comes to issues of respecting it, abiding by it, it becomes lip service.
Maxwell, you've been speaking and putting President Ruto's dirty linen, including his ministers, out in the open. Now, are you not worried with going back home and finding yourself being picked up at the airport and behind bars?
I was speaking to a friend of mine about the way I'm vocal, and he says to me, hey, you could be picked up. And then I was like, okay, what do I have to do? And a friend of mine said to me, hey, you need to tone down. You need to be able to criticize, but with a little bit of a pinch of, a sandwich kind of a criticism. But you know what? Again, I am not afraid. I'm not the only one. We are many. And our force of all these voices that are vocal and against the brutality, the violence, the kind of blatant murders that we are seeing of our own youths, children. I got to let you know something, Lulu, that we've had dictators in Kenya. We had President Daniel Arap Moi, who was a feared man, and he reigned with a reign of terror. We had Uhuru Kenyatta, we had Mwai Kibaki. We have never had a regime in our country that has gone after children. The youths, these are kids. You abduct them, you shoot them, enforce disappearance, you throw them in jail. I am not concerned. I'm surrounded by powerful support. The guy that you just spoke to the other day, Saitabao Olekanchori, is a very scathing lawyer, and plus others. So I'm like, you know what, you bring it on, and then we will deal with it as it comes.
All right. Well, Maxwell, it's been a pleasure hosting you, and we really appreciate your time. And anytime you're here and in Kenya, you let us know what's happening. It's always a pleasure chatting to you.
Appreciate it.
That is, thank you, and to you too. That's Maxwell Kariuki, a Kenyan member of Parliament, joining us once again live in studio here at Channel Africa. It is 12:58 Central African time, and I guess it is a wrap of Africa Update. I know that the Upside team is here, and are they going to come in and have a chat to us quickly about what's